La Bella Vita. I'm Matt. I'm here at Comic Relief here at San Marcos. We're here to talk with the owner Brian about the store and a couple things he's noticed, so let's get to it. Alright, I'm here with Brian Stewart, owner of Comic Relief. We're here to kind of cover some of the things with comic books and your store.
Okay.
So how about you give us a little bit of a history of this location in your store and how you got started?
Well, I used to do a lot of the conventions and comic book shows, baseball card shows in Austin back in the early 80s, and I got where I got tired of traveling, tired of carrying inventory around. I wanted to open up a store, but I wanted to separate it from a lot of the stores I'd seen. I wanted to get one that was organized, clean, up to date, modern, but at the same time provide the customer service I learned in other early retail business back in the early days. So I came down to San Marcos because I wanted to get to a smaller town. They didn't really have a steady comic book business down here, and we do vintage sports cards, and sports memorabilia, and action figures, so it's all around the store for that area. I came down here in early '89, and we opened a store in May of '89 here, and we've been here pushing 24 years now. And the store pretty much consists of varied comic books from the 1950s up, sports cards from turn of the century up, including a lot of vintage collectibles back in the early 50s and 60s. We carry a good large supply of Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon cards. We sell a lot of packs and single cards of Magic here. And we carry t-shirts, posters. We even have custom-made jewelry here. And for the moms that bring the kids in, we have Avon. My wife's been in Avon dealership for more than 10 years here, so we carry a vast, full line of Avon products in the store too. So we're not just a pretty varied open store, you know. And we have all the supplies you need, from boxes, card holders, bags, you name it, pennant holders. We carry a little bit of everything here, and it's interesting. It's a lot of fun, you know. We've been doing it. I never get tired of it.
So recently I've noticed a coming back of graphic novels and of the rise of mature comics. What are some fads in the past, and could you kind of predict, could you see fads coming or going, or trends within comics or action figures?
Well, movies have had their impact on our industry. Not as much as they used to, because used to a full-length movie of Superman, Batman, Spider-Man was a big deal, but now it's gotten to be old school, you know. I guess the biggest effect of it is the graphic novels, the stories related to some of the movies, and it does perk people's interest. And a lot of your comic book readers want to come in and buy a full story at one time. They get a little impatient to wait for that monthly comic to come out on Batman or Superman or Spider-Man. They'd like to get a collection of all the issues together, so they can come in and get a compilation if you, say, like Walking Dead, the popular TV show. Okay, that for a black and white comic book, it's been extremely popular, just like a TV show, and it's up to past 16 graphic novels now, over 100 issues. And you know, it's one of our best-selling graphic novels. We sell them day in, day out. But at the same time, we have, you know, a full line of graphic novels for your Batman, Supermans, and then of course the DC Vertigo line, which
So it's not something you commonly see anymore, but with Westerns, I know that they've inspired things. I see the influence of them pretty much everywhere in media, especially in comic books. I'm a big fan of Walking Dead, and there's the whole idea of Rick being kind of like a sheriff, and I feel like it kind of borrowed from that. And if you could just tell us a little more about the history, because it's something that is such a huge impact.
As far as Westerns go, Westerns were probably more Western movies made than any other movie in America, starting in the 40s and 50s. I mean, you had John Wayne and Randolph Scott, and you could go back in the 50s, you had William Boyd as Hopalong Cassidy, of course Roy Rogers, and then we had Clayton Moore as Lone Ranger, and Jay Silverhills was Tonto. And, you know, Saturday morning, my generation grew up watching all these black and white TV shows. Well, TV shows and franchising go together, just like it is today. Franchising is comic books, so Lone Ranger comic books came out, and then Marvel got in with Two Gun Kid. The Westerns really, they kind of, the early ones were, like I told you earlier, were teaching a moral lesson, At the end of a show, if you ever watch The Lone Ranger, he would be talking to the kids, you know, and tell them about minding their parents and doing good in school and being honest and being an upstanding citizen, you know.
Yeah.
And really there was political motivation behind these things too. Mm-hmm. We were just coming out of World War II, and America was wanting to start fresh again, you know, and we didn't want the invasion of communism in the United States. Mm-hmm. So comic books were pushing Americanism, mm-hmm. patriotism, if you want to call it, basically, and you can see that a lot in the comics, you know, the wholesome aspect, you know. As far as the trends now are people still enjoy it. Haven't changed much. They still like to follow a storyline. Mm-hmm. You know, you want to see how this ends and what's going to happen here, you know. Who's going to save this world, and, you know, but who's going to eliminate that bad guy. But as far as future trends, I would say it's going to pretty much stay the same now. I can't really predict what's going to happen as far as any up and coming, what's going to be the hottest seller, you know. Mm-hmm. I think pretty much your basics are still in here. Your Superman, your Batman, your X-Men, your Spider-Man are still your day in, day out best sellers. Good storylines, good art, you know. You know, here's another aspect of our store is figurines, action figures and statues. That's a big one there. But yeah, it's so many different things you can talk about in a store like this because we carry so much diversity. We try to create and use something for everybody, you know, whether it's if it's a 56-year-old comes in here or a 6-year-old comes in here, I'm going to try to have something that can perk their interest, right? You know. So whether it's Superman or SpongeBob, you know. Right.
Alright guys, now that you've seen the store and that comics aren't just for kids anymore, don't be afraid to come on down here and check out something to read. For La Bella Vita, I'm Matt.
Early voting starts Monday in Hays County. If you're interested in voting early, you can go to the San Marcos Government Center at 712 South Stagecoach Trail to cast your ballot. This year, government-issued IDs are required to vote. Student IDs will no longer be accepted, and the only acceptable IDs include a driver's license, a passport, or a Texas-issued ID card. The last day for early voting is November 1st, but if you can't make it across town, students and faculty can vote early on campus at the LBJ Student Center on October 29th.
Crews are still making repairs at a popular tube rental business near San Marcos. Don's Fish Camp was damaged by the Halloween floods. 15 of the 29 buses used to transport tubers were damaged when heavy rains caused the San Marcos River to rise above its banks. Some of the buses were underwater for more than a week before crews were able to get them out. Owner of Don's Fish Camp say they hope to repair the damage by the time they reopen next year. They estimate that Don's had about $50,000 to $70,000 worth of structural damage.